This week at the Republican National Convention, we heard President Trump's children talk about their dad, and now I'd like to talk about mine. My dad, whose name was Jerry Singleton, was something of a Renaissance man. My mom always says he was great at everything. He was a very talented musician. He could play the oboe, the clarinet, and every type of saxophone you've never even heard of. He was an athlete. He was an avid student and teacher of philosophy, particularly Aristotle and the Stoics. My dad walked me down the aisle at my wedding, and he was an unexpectedly silly and very loving grandfather. My dad passed away 6 years ago and is buried at Arlington National Cemetery. And the reason for that is he was a naval aviator. He flew bomber and fighter jets over Vietnam and Lebanon and Grenada during his 30-year military career. He was my childhood hero, and I was very proud and very lucky to be able to follow his example of military service. And when I graduated from the Navy's flight school, my dad was there, and he took his wings of gold from his own uniform to pin them on mine. And I spent almost a decade flying search and rescue helicopters aboard aircraft carriers, headed for different wars than my dad's. But I spent that time trying my best to be the kind of officer and the kind of leader my dad had been. And central to my dad's leadership philosophy, and to military service in general, is the idea of leader as servant. So this is the recognition that leadership is not just about power and authority, but it's also about responsibility and accountability and stewardship, not just of resources, but of people, the lives and the well-being of the people that you lead. And in my view, both as a military veteran and now as a mom, America has been missing that kind of leadership. Leadership as stewardship, care, and as service. So many people are in so much urgent pain. The pain of illness and death, of chronic systemic racism, of hurricanes and wildfires, the pain of job loss, mental health struggles, of what feels like a pointed rise in casual cruelty and disrespect in public discourse. And even just the sadness that comes from not being able to send your child to school for his very first day of kindergarten. And I don't think President Trump created all these problems, but I do believe he has made them worse. By dismissing the danger of a global pandemic, pretending racism isn't the grave moral emergency it is, by blaming people for the natural disasters that have destroyed their homes, by weaponizing disagreements on social media to the point that they turn into animosity and hatred and even violence between family members and friends and neighbors. To me, these just aren't the instincts of someone who is sincerely service-focused. And I know this because I spent 37 years of my life following in the footsteps of someone who truly was a service-focused leader. So this November, I will be voting for Joe Biden for the simple reason that I believe he understands that good leadership, trustworthy leadership, is an act of service and requires compassion. I believe he has the heart for the job, and I think that's what we most need right now as a country. And I hope you do too.